I'm being buzzed. Hey everyone, welcome back to Handmade Homestead and Garden. I'm Angela Allen, and today we are going to talk about my favorite herb to grow in the garden. Now, I have to admit that for most people, it's not their favorite herb. They love to have it, but they hate to grow it. It invades their space, and they very quickly become frustrated and remorseful that they ever planted it to begin with. So today, I am going to show you how to grow, how to manage, and how to love growing mint. Let's go. There may not be a single plant in the garden that is more loved and more hated than mint. Most gardeners absolutely adore it. It's one of the most useful herbs you can grow. Fresh mint is incredible in teas and desserts, cocktails and salads, and even savory dishes. It dries beautifully for winter use, it smells amazing, attracts pollinators, repels pests, and it grows with almost no effort. But here's the problem. Mint doesn't just grow, it conquers everything. Plant a small mint plant in the wrong location, and within a few months, or sometimes just a single growing season, you can find it spreading far beyond where you intended, and once it gets established, removing it can be a multi-year battle. Even if you think you've pulled it all out, tiny roots and runners left behind can continue popping up season after season. Today we're going to talk about why mint has earned both its legendary reputation and its notorious reputation. We're going to cover where it comes from, how it spreads, why it's so invasive, how to grow the best tasting mint possible, and most importantly, how to enjoy growing it without letting it take over your entire garden. Most mint species can trace its origins back to the Mediterranean region, Western Asia, and parts of Europe. Humans have been growing and using mint since ancient times for cooking, medicine, perfumes, and beverages. And there are literally dozens of species and countless varieties in unending number of flavors. Peppermint and spearmint are probably the best known, and I don't grow either of those in my garden. I grow apple mint, chocolate mint, and orange mint. But there's also exotic flavors like strawberry, peppermint, and pineapple mint, and there are so many more. Mint hybridizes very easily. Bees and other pollinators frequently move pollen between different mint plants, creating natural crosses and new variations. This is important because mint grown from seed may not always taste exactly like the parent plant. If you've ever wondered why gardeners usually recommend propagating mint from cuttings, runners, and divisions instead, this is why. Now, the reason that mint has become infamous among gardeners isn't the problem of it growing tall, it's the problem of how it spreads. Mint sends out underground runners called rhizomes. These rhizomes travel through the soil, producing new plants several inches or several feet away from the original plant. But that's not the only way it spreads. Mint also roots from its stems. If a branch bends over and touches moist soil, it can form roots and establish an entirely new plant. And every fall, after the flowers bloom, it produces seeds, and it will drop those seeds everywhere. They're very, very tiny. Self-seeding is easy and practical for the plant, and it can overwhelm your space very quickly. And plants produced from seed, again, don't necessarily taste like the parent plants. Mint is perennial. It comes back every year. And not only does it return, it usually returns larger than the previous season. So what started as a single small plant can become a sizable patch surprisingly quickly. Fortunately, there are several ways to enjoy mint without creating a problem. The most common method is container growing. A pot keeps the roots confined and makes harvesting easy. Another excellent option is growing mint in a raised bed with clearly defined boundaries. Just make sure the bed is at least 12 inches tall. Some gardeners also sink containers into the ground. If you choose this method, use a container that is at least 10 to 12 inches deep And even more importantly, leave the rim sticking slightly above the soil surface. If the container is flush with the soil, runners can simply grow over the edge. And you'll also need to keep the plant trimmed so stems don't flop onto the surrounding soil and root, because remember, mint doesn't need much encouragement to spread. In my mint patches that I'm showing you here in the video, both of those areas were started with 1 or 2 small rooted cuttings between 1.5 and 2 years ago. And as you can see, both patches are several feet wide in both directions and quite dense with plants. Now, despite all of the warnings that you've heard about mint, I actually grow mine directly in the ground. The key is choosing the right location. I plant mint in isolated areas where its aggressive growth can be used to my advantage instead of becoming a problem. Some patches are planted alongside buildings or physical barriers where the roots can only spread in limited directions. Other patches are planted near lawn areas. If the mint starts creeping onto the grass, I simply mow it down or trim it back with a string trimmer. One of my favorite locations is to plant along the edge of wooded areas. The mint can spread towards the woods as much as it wants, while any growth moving towards the lawn can easily be controlled through mowing. In the right location, mint can become far less of a nuisance and much more of an asset. One of the ways that mint is an asset is the fact that it is repellent of pests, both insect pests and animal pests as well. Before we get into talking about how I grow mint for the best flavor and the most abundant harvest, I want to talk a little bit about how having the right garden tools and supplies can make a huge difference in your gardening, but it also can make a huge difference in your kitchen too. And that actually brings me to today's sponsor segment. And today's sponsor is me. Most of you who have been here for any length of time know that I am a full-time hand weaver. I produce beautiful hand-woven necessities, heirloom quality, towels, and other linens. The name of my shop is Quiddnick Island Linens, and I want to give you just a taste of what I make right here. Hand-woven necessities, designed to last and made to be loved. They're stronger, more absorbent, and made for everyday luxury. If you haven't made the switch to hand-woven towels, this is definitely your signal. So let's talk about care so you get the best flavor possible in your mint too. One thing that surprises many gardeners is that mint doesn't necessarily produce its best flavor in full sun. Mint can absolutely grow in full sun, but it really prefers partial shade. In fact, partial shade is often where it truly shines. In hotter climates, intense sunlight can sometimes dilute the flavor or make certain mint varieties taste harsher. And I have a perfect example for that. One of my favorite mints is orange mint. And if I harvest it first thing in the morning, it is sweet and citrusy and delicious, especially cold in iced tea. But if I harvest this anytime in the afternoon on a hot summer day, it tastes like gasoline. So keep that in mind when you plant your mint. Climate counts. Plants grown with some protection from the afternoon sun often develop richer, smoother flavor, and mint only needs a few hours of sunlight each day to thrive. It also prefers cool, moist soil, so a good layer of mulch helps retain moisture, regulate temperature, and keep the plant growing vigorously. Like many aromatic herbs, mint is best harvested early in the morning. That is when the essential oils are most concentrated and the flavors are the strongest. As the day heats up, those aromatic compounds begin to dissipate. Let's talk about maintenance and care. One of the best things about mint is how little maintenance it requires. It doesn't need fertilizer. In fact, over-fertilizing is often a mistake. Too much fertilizing can make mint grow soft,
weak and spindly while reducing flavor and increasing susceptibility to pests and diseases. If you want to feed your mint at all, a light application of compost once a year is more than enough. And honestly, even that isn't essential. The biggest maintenance task is harvesting. Use it often, cut it frequently. Regular harvesting encourages fresh growth and helps prevent stems from becoming woody. At the hottest part of the season, or whenever plants begin looking tired, don't be afraid to cut them back aggressively. You can cut mint nearly to the ground and allow it to rejuvenate with fresh new growth after a brief period of rest. Mint is remarkably adaptable and grows best in zones 4 through 11, although they generally perform best in cooler climates. They're tough, productive, and they're flavorful, and they're one of the easiest herbs you'll ever grow. But they're also one of the easiest herbs to lose control of. The secret isn't avoiding mint. The secret is respecting it. Give it boundaries, plant it intentionally, harvest it often, and choose a location where its vigorous growth works for you instead of against you. Do that and you'll have an endless supply of one of the most useful herbs in the garden without spending years trying to remove it afterwards. Let me know in the comments if you've ever planted mint and regretted it, or are you one of the gardeners who has learned how to keep it under control? I'd love to hear what your experiences have been. And if you've never planted it, do you think after watching this video that you might give it a try?
Well, thank you for joining me today. Well, we talked about how to grow mint in the garden successfully and safely without having it invade everything else you've got going. So until next time, here's a video you might find interesting. Give that a watch, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. It helps us so much, and we always appreciate you. I'll see you next time. Take care.